So I'm going to add in a commentary on top of this and then put it as a commentary guide. So we gotta look at this, okay?
Yeah.
All right, class in
Certain
session. Pay attention, boys. All
You
right,
need
pay
it to
attention,
cleanse
boys.
blind.
This is a bait for blind players. Check this
Yes,
out.
certain. You will start the raid by
This is the bait. So everyone just walks in and they just die. That's the bait for blind players. We all got caught in Korea.
sword.
People might not understand this. If he raises his right hand, you just go to where his hand's raised. And then if he raises his left hand, his hand should be over here, right? And then you go right. And then when you stay far enough, you see this symbol here?
Initial
So
wait.
let me pause
Wait
it
for
where the explosion is. This is where the explosion is right here. And it kind of goes in a stripe. So you can actually stay in the middle if you want to. But during progging, this is going to hurt a lot. But you should be staying around maybe a little farther away. And if you're a support, I'm playing a support here, right? You kind of give 3 bubble here because no one can attack anyways. This is another case. So I'm in the middle because I'm very tanky, right? This debuff is the biggest problem in this raid. The more hits that you get, this refreshes and it goes infinite. Generally, if you get hit, just assume that you're going to get another stack. And this is by darkness attack, because as in like, if it has like a darkness effect, most of the stuff that has darkness effects, usually red telegraphs, they give you the stack. And each stack you take 20% more damage. When I had like 4 stacks, I died from 100 to 0. So kind of like that. So if you take 1 stack, you actually have to play conservative. So this is the stagger check. Stagger check is like not that important. What's more important is you have to drop his HP down. So you notice his HP is 37. He starts with 40 bars. We drop 3
Stagger
bars.
check.
And the initial explosion here is in the middle. So if you get hit by this, you get knocked all the way back. It doesn't hurt you as much, but you can't do DPS. So that's the bad part. And you have to deal as
Most
much
groups tend to
damage.
reach-
This is the first level, and then we reach 35. So it's usually from 35 to 28 based on what kind of classes you're going with. If you have a lot of consistent DPS classes, it might be a little bit higher, but if you have a lot of burst classes, like let's say Sork, just because it's low, that doesn't mean it's bad. And we didn't even throw dark here. So this
Sork
is
wave.
about 120k to 190k. There's a clip of me dying 1 shot. This kills you from 100 to 0 sometimes because it gives you a stack too. Always have to dodge
Cutscene,
this.
You will always start.
This is
with
his signature. You'll see this at least 20 times when you're
his
progging.
signature
He teleports.
teleport.
He stabs the ground, right?
To
And then he
sword wave.
swipes it in front of him. So when you get hit by this attack, his ground stab, you can just spacebar away. When he disappears, and you'll see patterns will he disappear afterwards, you will know this pattern is coming. Just expect this pattern to come out, and then don't get hit by this. And then you're like 20% of the day there. A lot of people got killed by this during proc days. There's gonna be a lot of patterns that you should not get hit by, and then I'll just filter that out and then just tell you which ones, because that will help you progging. So as I said in the video, I went over normal patterns first because normal patterns are actually lethal. You will see a bunch of normal patterns at the beginning of the fight. If I don't cover it, it's not gonna help, because going over normal patterns in the back actually defeats the purpose of helping you guys prog. So when he swipes 2 times on this head
Stay
like
at
that,
position.
and then he stabs, right? Entropy players always get grabbed by this. When you guys prog, you will see people getting grabbed all the time by this attack. I will show you the entropy version when I play my Slayer, because I'm gonna make guides for like every single class, because I played Hitmaster, I played Entropy, I played Gunlesser, and I played Support. But when you guys see this particular pattern, like watch this animation as much as you can.
Then
Just
you will
try to
slam
recognize it.
left
Try to
side.
recognize
If you're
this.
not-
In my opinion, is just stay in the front. Even if you're entropy, especially when you're at stage break later. I'll explain it again. But this attack, it gives you fall death. If you get hit once, you actually die. And if you get grabbed as well, this slam, you get carried away and he slams you off the stage. You can't push him into grab. That's a good question. Grab is the highest judgment, so you always get grabbed. So this pattern, if you see it, my number 1 advice, just stay in the front, and then when you get used to the timing, do DPS after. This one is also very dangerous. If you see it spinning as
Sword
helicopter,
like a helicopter.
this does a lot of damage when you do it on eye level. I'm going through this because I'm rhapsodying myself. And when this is done, you can go in early. A lot of people don't go in early because he feels like he's gonna stab the floor, right? He goes like, oh, I'm scared. When he smashes the ground, the inside is actually safe. So you can actually go in early and do DPS. This pattern seems really weak, right? But the issue is it blinds you. And if you don't get cleansed fast enough, his next attack is going to kill you. This blind is very important. You have to spacebar over it, or you paralysis immune. For example, if you play Gunslinger, right? If you do bullet rain, you don't get blinded. The blind works if you get pushed away from the fog. Just because you get hit, that doesn't mean you gotta get blinded right away. This is a regular blind. I will show you a special blind after this too. So the blue telegraph has a point of intersection, so it kind of goes like a ray. So if you stay within the positional differences, you won't get hit as much. The actual reason why I stay close is this teleport. So when he teleports, he smashes forward, and then the wave is gonna go sideways.
Vertical slam.
So you have to go behind them immediately and then do DPS, because this can also kill you too by fall death. This one's not as important. I am still denched by this. I can't tell a difference, but it's clockwise. But you see how this is rotating? You see how rotating this is counterclockwise?
I recommend just staying close, and
that's inside explosion. But if it rotates clockwise, it's outside. So what you need to do here as DPS is just use spacebar or tenacity skills at the explosion. Memorize the explosion timing and then just press spacebar. And you see me doing Rhapsody here, right? I didn't even know what this pattern is. I just pressed Rhapsody for no reason. The reason why playing like that is okay, the time that you waste walk out and walk back in and do DPS, you lose more. With, let's say you're like an entropy player, just stay back, do damage, and then just spacebar in, and then just do more damage. The energy blast, etc., these stuff is not important, but I just added it because that covers the rest of it. Make sure you, when he dashes or phases away, just like a con, position yourself first.
Wave.
So the reason why I marked this as DPS time is it is DPS time for every single party mate. And if you're a support player, you Gossip Law here, you Starry Night here, and then you Rhapsody here at the back. Entropy players should always be at the back and do full DPS here. It's a waste if you dodge this. And for Hitmaster, you can just stay in the front. That's why later on, remember what I said about you must dodge that pattern? You guys focus dodging that, and then you push more at these patterns. So it will balance out later. Because you have a risk of dying. Like, there's no reason to goblin when you have a risk of dying. You goblin when you can. But you should not spin the head around. Like, let's say you're for example, let's say you're an entropy player and you try to hit the back and he just keeps spinning around.
The slam itself,
and then he'll actually kill people.
Close.
Because look how large the slam is. This is how big the slam is. It's the whole screen. And right at the front is safe. A lot of people don't know that actually.
The red telegraphs.
This particular slam, it's circle safe at the front, and then a large slam at the back, and then you have all these people doing DPS. And these red telegraphs, they don't give you lethal stacks. So if you're the target, you can just keep DPSing in the front instead of trying to walk around.
The slam.
So you guys will see this first at prog. If you see this blue orb, that's his summon clones pattern. You have to memorize this. If you can't, have someone in the voice chat call out clones or something. This is his signature animation that he always does.
Summon dark clone.
And this explosion is huge. So whenever you see a blue explosion, or like you see him kind of gathering the blue orbs, this is when he's doing the summon clone, and he's going to be doing this at least 10 times throughout the whole fight. You will just know this, and then you will just react to this immediately, just telling you that this is the more important ones for you to memorize. He disappears, 2 players will get the target, and 1 player on normal, and sometimes you get 3 at the later stages of the game. You guys remember this pattern at the very beginning, right?
With a downswing.
This pattern. He will always do this. That's why you have to call out that he's gonna do the clones, because this is the pattern that he'll always do after, so that you guys are ready to dodge it. So if you don't know that he's going to do this, he might get you in the back and then he slash you and then you might die. Like, that does happen very often. So it is very crucial for you guys to know that this is coming. And also, if you see here, the follow-up attack after the sword wave is 180 degrees slam or 270 degrees slam. And he always spins counterclockwise. The reason why I said never ever get hit by this is if you get hit by this, you're fall deaf most of the time. Like 90% of the time, if you get hit by this, you get launched off so far, you die by fall deaf. So if I give you guys one more thing, during the prog days,
that last
what
5
we
seconds,
have seen,
he will
we have said all the time
to blue slash attack with a downswing
was, hey, always stand around where his blue slash is fired. That's his head position
behind,
because he will never hit here for a while. Just stay where the blue slash passed by, and then you'll never get hit by his follow-up attack. So I didn't explain this in the video. So this is the map, and this is the X mark that kind of see during the map design. So you kind of see the map design showing like an X, right? The reason why you place it here on the pointers on the X, he later snaps the stage in half. And if you snap the stage in half, and if this shadow is here, and he randomly snaps this stage, right? This shadow disappears. That's why it's smarter to put it on the X mark, the 1, 5, 7, and 11. You don't really need to, but if you can, it's a good idea to do so. The shadow clone itself, whenever he does the blue sword attack, right?
Clones will also fire its own
This is the attack that he will do, and then how many are in the field right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 in the field, and he's at 153. During prog, there's gonna be maybe about double this amount. And this is where it kind of gets chaotic. This is why, let's say he fired the blue sword energy over there, right? Then you would stay here for a safe spot. Because afterwards, he could attack here or here, right? Because he's rotating counterclockwise. And he's going to smash either here or he's going to slam either here. And all these attack, this is why time stop's also very important, because this does kill you. Getting hit by 3 of these, getting hit by 2 of this for Gunslinger, it kills you. So when you have 1 second left on the debuff bar, that is when the shadow aims at you. And then you see the red mark. And then if you space bar when you have 1 second left in the debuff bar, you can throw away where you want. That's where like the cool GIF image came out for like throwing away the shadow. So that's like another tip too. Let's say you're in a situation you can't throw it away, right?
Shadows where you want.
Let's say you're in a situation you can't throw it away. See the red first and then spacebar and throw it away. Even if you throw the shadow here, it's okay. It's not the end of the world because the shadow itself doesn't do any damage. He only does damage whenever THAEMINE does a blue sword attack. It's just that the projectile is going to be a little bit more hectic. You just don't stack them. The red sword pattern, additionally, if I give you guys more tips, you will see when this meter fills up, this is 20, this is 40, this is 60, this is 80, right? He queues up the red pattern. In Lost Ark, right? Whatever has the highest priority is bar-based mechanic, and the one after that is time-based mechanic, and the one below that is the identity mechanic, as far as I know. That's why we don't see this identity red sword mechanic. We see the actual 275 mechanic first because we push fast. So whenever you guys see the bar filled up, and then if you haven't seen a red sword pattern, you have to communicate to the team that like red sword pattern could be coming. Because if you know that it's coming, the probability of you dodging it is way higher. There's 3 motions on normal, and there's 4 on hard, and there's 1 that kills you on hard mode a lot. So again, this is an instant kill. So only time stop and crisis evasion can save you. If you can,
we'll bring a sword out.
Repeat and watch it actually to like kind of feel that like what's he gonna do. But I will show you some key pointers and let it. So this is THAEMINE's left side, not left side. That's why people get confused too. His attacks are usually in his left, so his right is usually safe. Sometimes joke about his right butt cheek. That's the safest spot for most of his pattern, his right butt cheek. So here's a tip that I gave to some Koreans even.
In front of him.
To recognize this pattern, right? Variations. You see these white clouds? This is the only pattern that has the white cloud effect. What Lost Ark does is they give you multiple pointers to distinguish between patterns. So if you have problems figuring out what THAEMINE's doing for the red sword pattern, if he has that white cloud forming up, just stay behind him. This is the easiest one to recognize because he's like on the air like this, and the effect kind of like goes upwards. So these are alternating safe spots if it's enhanced. And then again, this video shows you when it's enhanced and when it's normal too. So you alternate safe spots. So since he slammed here, the next one is over here. So my tip is for this that I did
head and back
that I gave to other guys too
attack
is you see how the head and back attack symbol has a circle and it ends over here, right? If you draw a line from here and then the back attack here, that's the safe spot. So you can actually use this as point of reference. Just draw a line because you're blinded when this meter is full. If you guys try to do it on practice after I told you guys, you guys will get it immediately because that's the easiest way to dodge things. It is very difficult is because you don't recognize it in time, and then you don't know where to dodge it. That's why most people die from it.
Horizontally.
Again, the effects, right? If he has the sword horizontal, and then you see this cloud thingy, that's the max range that the circle is going to be. So as long as you're outside the effect, you're safe. Because when you do that blind, you don't stay too close. But the enhanced version is plus position, so you can get a little bit closer to do some DPS. Try to move small as you can because sometimes you move and then your toe gets cut and then you die.
This motion appears.
So I call this Pac-Man because it looks like a Pac-Man, right? This is the hard mode only pattern. And it kills a lot of people who does normal mode only. And when the normal mode users come over to hard mode, this is the #1 pattern that most people die to because this is unique. So this pose is what you need to figure out, but you don't need to think about it this way. But this is one way to do so because I tell you guys all the methods to recognize it because people recognize things differently and people prefer to see different things, right? Yeah, see the enhanced version is a circle. That's why you get confused and then you can't move in time. You don't press time stop. top, you just get hit and die. So when he does the normal version, this is what happens. The number one def issue here, right? So let's say you dodge this, and then you run away, and then this size of this is huge, so you get hit by the second hit. So look at this. Way to memorize this, how I usually do, is this is the only effect that has the lightning effect on it just goes around like that.
Different sound effects too.
And it also makes different sound effects. So my advice,
my tip is to memorize the light.
Look at the lightning effect, because look at the difference between the cube versus that one. That's the cube. Right? This is the cube version. And if you look at the pizza, it's just red. And then you see him kind of like standing up in the air. And this stuff, you can react to it. It's not that difficult to react to this. But look at the Pac-Man one. Look how much lightning's there. Look how much lightning is caused there. It's so easy to recognize, right? So my advice is to look at the lightning effect to distinguish between the red patterns. So the red pattern, enhanced and normal, is based on the phase of the THAEMINE. He doesn't go back and forth randomly. So from 300 to 255 bars until you fight his sword, his red pattern is always normal. 255 and beyond until stage break, he's enhanced red mode. So you have to communicate to the team every time a red pattern happens, you gotta call out enhanced or normal. And when the stage breaks, it goes back to normal. This is what most people got confused of. And then from 90 to 0 is enhanced. For example, you notice this normal here, right? I put this in here to make sure that you guys know that he's in a normal phase. This darkness, you have to dodge this. This is an uncleansable blind. So if I tell you about a little bit of story about this Albion pattern, so we call it the Albion pattern. A lot of people in Korea during Prague couldn't even pass this phase because people are just trying to dodge it, and then there was just not enough information. Now that there's enough information to dodge, you guys will pass this phase pretty quickly. So this is the sliding door version. So if I tell you a little bit more about this, so when you see a sliding door going away this way, right? It's going that way, correct? Like if you don't memorize this, if the swords go this way, the next safe spot's always vertical. It always alternates. And if you are worried, right? If you stay at the very edge, of the first wave, that's also a safe spot. You notice here, this is a safe spot, right? And this is also a safe spot here. As long as you kind of dodge the first and then you stay at the very far end, you stay safe the whole time. But you see me doing goblino things, and doing attacks here. And everyone does goblino things.
The warning signs will come in a wave from one.
This is the easiest, but I don't know how people can't distinguish between the wave and the sliding door. The one thing that helps you is one just goes in the one direction and the other one kind of opens up, and it only just shows one safe spot. Or you can just Rhapsody like this too. You can Rhapsody your friends just in case, because sometimes the space bar, people get hit by it because they don't know the exact timing. I don't know either myself. I get hit sometimes. You don't have to worry about it too much. A lot of people died of this here. It's fast, right? That's why you get confused. So when you see edge as a first safe spot, right? It's always counterclock, and that's the safe spot for the whole time. So you kind of have to like program in your head, the first spot is the safe spot as an edge. And then you just need to rotate counterclockwise, and then you just stay in the center. That's all you need to do. You don't need to memorize the whole thing because there's 4 variables. You have to make it as easy as you can so that you can survive. But later on, when you get used to it by looking at it over and over and over, you will recognize it immediately. But the thing is, the early days, you got to make it as simple as you can.
Second safe spot and 4 will be the same as second safe spot. If you quickly recognize,
so if you're in the middle like this, right? Always stay in the middle, okay?
It's the first.
Always stay in the middle, and then you see that, oh, I mean, this is obvious an edge safe spot, right? Because if it's a center safe spot, it will be a bar. So you go, oh, this is an edge safe spot.
Wave.
Okay,
safe
so
spot.
this is the first safe spot.
Being on the
I can just rotate counterclockwise.
Prepare to,
because this is gonna be counterclockwise like that.
Rotate counterclock. Third and fourth wave can be dodged at the second safe spot at the middle area.
And 3 and 4. They're all 4 steps. That's why it's very simple. It looks hard because there's 4 variables, and if you just know all the variables that can happen, it's going to be very easy for you. So this is center to edge. If the safe spot is center, the next spot is going to be edge on the safe spot. So like, let's say this is the safe spot, right? The safe spot edge is going to be either on the left side or the right side from here.
Second safe.
So it's over on the left side, right? If you see them both, you just go clockwise.
If you see the safe spot as center,
so he's gonna go like
second wave
like that. and then it's going to go here.
It is always going to be on the edge.
Here, and then you go here because you just go clockwise.
When the
timer dark seed, and when the dark seed explodes, it does near kill damage and it knocks everyone out. And the reason why these guys didn't die because I rhapsodied them. So this is the example of me just surviving it. This is a sliding door.
From
so I spacebar over.
There are separate dodge spots.
And then I stay at the edge,
but you can.
And then it dodges both variables.
Stop. It can last easily. Through.
And time stop's very important. So you see this blue mark here, right? It will aim at the target player and explode. Aim at the target player and explode. Aim at the target player and explode. The aggro is the same the whole time. It's one person. So when Gunlesser got aggro, it's the best case scenario because the thing barely moves. And this red thing, just ignore it. It doesn't explode until the very end. And after the semicircle explosion, the red's gonna explode afterwards. Then you care about the red telegraph.
Circle.
This is also a really good tip. So check this out. I got hit once. It's 163k damage. This is based on HP. This is max HP help damage. So if you get if you get hit by 2 of this, you actually die. It doesn't matter what class you are, unless you have like DR and stuff, right? So I popped myself.
Far off.
I got knocked over, right? And I don't have a space bar. Well, I have a space bar, sorry. If you're in this situation, right? Just get out of the whole thing. Because this tick damage here is 40k to 50k. This does less than the pizza. A lot of people don't know this. Just stay outside and time stop even if you want to. If you're a support and you get hit, you get knocked off, right? You just stay outside, and let's say you're an artist, you just Starry Night. You can just Starry Night the whole thing. And most of the time you use Awakening here, so you're probably gonna tank through the whole thing.
Outside.
The only bad part is you just gotta be blinded for darkness, but you get to hold the aggro. That's the good part. So even if you're a DPS and you get hit by it and then you get knocked off, you can simply just time stop outside, or you can try to tank it. And then the sword's gonna fly towards the aggro player, the initial aggro player, and then you usually go 9 o'clock or 7's fine too, but you can't really force it. Yeah, the reason why I said this, when I saw other people prog, they were trying to bring the sword to 9 o'clock. So doing that wastes a lot of time. You actually have to push the sword as fast as you can, because the slower you push the sword, you're gonna have more shadow clones in the field. So one thing I didn't mention here is the time limit to kill the sword is like about a little bit over 13 minutes. If you go under 13 minutes, you can't clear. I have never seen it clear, but that would be more correct statement. Going under 13 minutes, you're behind in time. This is super important. The sword will always lay down horizontal. This kills you. As for me, I'm doing a support here. If you Rhapsody, the Z-axis doesn't count, so you can actually give them Rhapsody from the floor.
Or a red sword.
So this is the THAEMINE in the middle doing patterns to you. This is why this is very difficult, and it's so chaotic, because you're fighting the sword, and then THAEMINE in the middle is shooting shit at you. Yeah, this tether is hard mode only, so normal is going to be easy for you guys. You don't have to worry about this tether going back and forth. This red sword is very important. The reason why I'm away from the fight is because this red sword does a lot of damage, but also gives a lot of lethal stacks too, so it's super important for you to kite it away. Basically, think about it this way. When the fight starts, this guy, he always starts with shadow clones. So let's say the fight starts, right?
Sword tether will spawn and rotate slowly. The tether...
Okay, let me show you actually. So this is the run that I did today, right? So okay, so when the fight starts, TMI does shadow clone immediately. This is how you guys do it, because it will get confusing later. This is how you memorize it. At the start, there's always going to be 2 shadow clones, and then you always need to communicate with the team that there's 2 pools that you need to throw away, right? You always do that first. You see it happen, right? And when these guys finish putting down the pool, he does his next pattern. So the pools are down, right? And one person is going to be targeted after. So watch, very, very soon, someone's got to be targeted. There you go. So he got targeted, right? After we target the clone down, and it's me. And it's going to be either the laser or the sword. And it's the sword. And I know it's the sword, and it's me. So at the very last, I use my skills and I space bar out to kite it away. And then when this is over, you kind of count about like the next thing coming out right away. So you have the wave coming out. And then the wave comes out, and afterwards you're gonna get targeted again. So it kind of goes back, and it kind of goes in order. So you see that, you notice this target, right? And then afterwards he's going to be doing another shadow clones. You see, he's doing it already. He's doing the summon shadow clones. So it kind of alternates patterns. So whenever you kind of place down the clones, you have to expect someone to have a target right away, and then you need to tell them that it's going to happen. Now here's another thing. This is how I figure out counter all the time. So I said it in the video wrong. The sword can counter after 2 normal patterns too. And the reason why they do that is because it's based on time. As in like based on time, however you do it, and it's usually 2 to 3 patterns. When you see a sword do 2 patterns, you kind of expect counter to happen. And then if he actually does a normal pattern, and it's a guaranteed counter after, because let's say he does 3 normal patterns. Sometimes he does 4, but after 4th, it's always a counter. Yeah, you can't miss this. You can't miss this counter during prog. Long time ago, when we did not counter this, we just reset because we didn't have enough time. This is a fast one. So this is super fast.
Player and spin the counter. If fail,
and if you fail this actually kills people because this does lethal stacks. Look how much lethal stack I got, and like I stayed there for 1 second. I got 4 stacks. This one is not as dangerous. The spin one is very dangerous and it's the fastest. So you just gotta hope that doesn't happen as much. So when you destroy the sword, notice the top right corner. He's in enhanced mode. He's completely different from the first area. All his normal patterns are different. And his red sword pattern is different. You have to communicate this. You have to. It goes like, hey, he's gonna go in, he's in enhanced phase now.
I am the identity bot.
Because he never tells you. He never tells you that he's in enhanced phase. This one, I explained it in very detail because this kills so many people during prog. So he crouches like this, and he dashes front, and then he dashes back to Virgil slash behind him, right? And this is a large range, and this actually kills you. And if you have a stack, you can't even react potion to it. And then he'll dash back, and then he will switch aggro. A lot of people don't know that he switches aggro. The initial aggro is Virgil slash behind him. He dashes back, and then he swaps aggro to someone else. Anybody in the map, actually. And you notice how far I am, right? He dashes all the way to me, like that, and then he Virgil slashes forward. And then you see me potting here, right? Because if I don't pot, I will be dead. This is a very good example that you might die if you're in this situation, because let's say you're far away and then you go, oh, he's not gonna aggro me or something, right? He just zooms right in front of you and Virgil slashes the shit out of you, and then you just straight up die. And then he will dash back, right? And then he will keep firing sword waves at me. So all these is going to give you lethal stacks, and it does decent amount of damage. And walking is good enough. Just walk in one direction. We used to dodge this with Splendid Sacred Charm during prog, but someone figured out that if you stay in front of it with a time stop, you can remove the balls completely. This is so hard because if you get hit by this, you get feared, and then he appears in front of you and then he just slashes you. So when you see this orb, if you're a support player out there, maybe Gunlesser or any DPS players, if you can react to this, try to block it because this causes wipe. Imagine you're doing so well and then he does this and then you reset. Like, how heartbreaking is that, right? So if you can react to this, just go and then just use the time stop. So you notice me going in the front of him, right? I'm standing right in front of him. Time stop, and then this is invincible, right? I took away all the orbs, and then he teleports to a target, which is me, and then everyone can DPS afterwards. This is so important. Like, look how fast the orbs are. Look how fast this is.
This is extremely hard to...
It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the map. And I blocked half of this. If you look at here, so I time stopped wrong because I moved over here, right? Because I thought someone else was going to do it. I blocked half of this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 orbs. I think it's either 6 or 7 orbs. I blocked half of it. This spreads even more afterwards. You can't dodge this. Extremely hard. This one is also probably on the top 3 on the kill list. So he stabs. So you see me doing the tenacity skill, right? So this skill can kill you from the center. That's how scary this pattern is. Let's say you're in the center, and then you're on a phase where fall death is possible. You will get a fall death if you get hit by this. So you go boom. If you get hit by this, you get hit by that, and you get hit by this ring, you get hit by that ring, and then you get hit by the other ring, and then you get fall death. My advice is, if you're a DPS, if you're a support, just tenacity it. Just tenacity it through. Spacebar timing is a little bit hard. Spacebar timing is a little bit difficult. So you can do that. If you just walk away, the third ring is the safe spot. Okay, so you can just go to the third ring, but you need to dodge him charging at you and stab you.
Still need to.
So that's a good question. Can you block it with Guardian Tune, or it works only in one orb? So you can block all the orbs if you want to, but you're going to die because each orb does damage. It'll probably do about 1,000,000 damage. Yeah, same as this tip, as I told you guys, is if he dashes away, look at his head in front symbol, and then just spacebar perpendicular. Always just like that. You see what I did right? You can react to this. This is not that very difficult. So this is the stomp that you guys see on normal mode, right? The reason why I mentioned it again, he has an additional attack here. He goes up in the air, and then he smashes the floor. And if you get hit by this here during the fall death mode, you die. This is a fall death, and the range is pretty big. So you notice this one too, right? Look how big this range is. So if you get hit by this,
slash 180 degrees at a wide.
If this was 185 bars, which is the fall death possible map,
range in front of him,
I'm dead because this pushes me all the way back
very far
to here. And sometimes if I were a little bit more near, you actually get a fall death. Very, very dangerous. So the one thing that you can tell is if you see that X mark, you can just space bar and try to get behind them.
Sword will glow.
And the second mark that you can see is his head and back attack indicator disappears.
Alternate.
So these large red circle telegraphs, the reason why everyone's dodging it instead of tenaciting it through is because it blinds you. So one thing I didn't mention here. So here's a unique method where you see the back. You know, he scrapes at the back, right? If you get hit by his back,
behind him,
you'll be knocked forward. But the thing is, if he's stabbing outside the map, that's also fall death. Yeah, so you get combo stabbed and then you die as a fall death.
This is
really fun. That rarely happens though, but it does happen.
You see this?
This is a cool attack. It does a lot of damage. Remember my rule set of spacebarring perpendicular? Spacebarring perpendicular if he dashes. The reason why this works as well is he dashes back, right? If I spacebar this way,
behind them
it's an X, so you still dodge it. So whenever he dash back, spacebar sideways, and you can dodge everything. And then this is the shadow thing when he plugs in like a tumor looking thing. Nearest players will have the pillar spawning. You have to pull it away so that these guys can do DPS.
Need to kite them away.
Another pattern that you have to DR. This is a super nice DPS pattern, but you get hurt, right? So you have to give them shield and you have to give them DR. This is not as important. But you notice this one, right? This is after the blue sword wave. He does this regularly sometimes, and that does confuse people, right? Because this is the 180 slam. This is the 180 slam, right? So always stay at his back. Or just chase his right booty,
as it is,
and then you'll never get hit by something like this. Okay, so this is gonna be confusing for a lot of people. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rings. And then there's going to be a bunch of safe spots, right? Yeah, they'll be randomly deleted in 3 waves, as in like wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3. So like, let's say once a bunch of one gets deleted, and then after a bunch of them gets deleted, and then after a bunch of more get deleted, and then that'll be the final shape. And if you're unlucky, you're gonna see this if you're unlucky. But the thing is, I can prevent this actually. This is very, very rare. But I can still live. So what you need to do is the reason why I died here, because I committed this side, but I'm not even supposed to be here. I can still be in the middle. So imagine I stayed in the middle. I would see a spot on the top left. Okay, you wait at the dead center. If I give you guys another explanation on top of this, when THAEMINE starts a dialogue, right? It's 12 seconds from here. So if you wait 8 seconds, the safe spot's already completed. And if I stay in the dead center, and if I see these 2 safe spots, they don't disappear. So you basically wait until all the safe spots are complete, and if you travel from the dead center, you will never die. That's basically it. But the thing is, people call that you're greeting DPS, but it's actually not. The only case that you will actually die is everything being deleted at the 6 o'clock, but you can still go upwards too. This was during Prague, we didn't know about it, but now we do. Is all you need to do when the clash starts. Chase his booty.
Horse clash DPS.
Right? Just chase his butt. Back. So you know how he's rotating this way, right? He can rotate this way too. Or he can start from 11 and rotate clockwise. And he can start from 1 o'clock and rotate counterclockwise. As long as you keep chasing his butt,
if you keep on following.
The reason why you can't be in front of him is if you're in front of him,
you'll be rotating around.
If you're in front of him, this sword wave, right? You notice that blue sword wave. There's 3 of them. So if you're in front of him, consider yourself dead. Afterwards, he's going to be going forward to the middle, and then he's going to land, and this is a knockout damage, okay? So walk a little slower, and the clash position is going to be right here. And the judgment for clash is very, very lenient. So as long as you just go walk around and spam the G key, you'll always go in. So I don't know if this will be true. We got the clash practice after the first event was over. So I don't know if you guys will have it or not. The difference between all perfect and all good is almost 10 seconds. by the way. It's actually really important if you perfect all 3 of them. And second one, maybe you can get 1 good. If you don't get all perfects on the clash on the horse phase, unless you're really juiced group, you probably don't have enough DPS. If there is no practice mode, it's going to be very smooch, but there's gotta be someone in your group that is really good at rhythm games or like good at stuff, right? Make him do it the whole time. And the first clash is all 8 keys. QWERASDF, all 8 keys. As far as I know, it's 3 times, but normal, it's only like QWER. It's 4 buttons. Here's another tip that we didn't know for a while. Also, you guys notice when he clashes, right? He kind of runs away, right? The hitbox is here. He's all the way over here, but the hitbox is right here. You're actually hitting the air. A lot of the Korean prog, when we were progging, we thought we had to wait for it, but we didn't need to wait. That's like another cycle, you know what I mean? Can support use buff then do clash? The answer is yes, but they should not do it because they need to build meter. All support should use awakening here. If you don't, often used it is something severely wrong because these horses, they damage through Inanna, and you need to use awakening so that you can use 3 bubbles during this. Horses, it's very, very mandatory. Like they will actually die. And then this is the second clash. This was the Inanna center, the horse, and then he'll dash away, and then he'll reappear from the edge, and then he'll walk slowly, okay, to take position. And then right in front of him, which is here, is the clash position. But don't be confused though. So check this out. This is the practice version. He walks away, right? He walks to me. He turns around like that. So long time ago, when we were trying to find the clash position when we were playing blind, we thought we were here. Little we know, he turns his head to confuse us. Yep. So when the second clash is done, you need to carve all of his shield. The shield is 40 bars. Or it'll be a raid wipe. Everyone needs to do Trixian parse if you want to do the Inanna tactic. Because if you use Inanna, what's good about Inanna tactic is you use Inanna in clash and you save Wei, and you can use it at the very end to push some DPS. As I said here, using Wei is an option just to progress further. A lot of groups used to use Wei during the horse clash because we couldn't push. This is the enhanced phase. So the enhanced phase, fall def is possible. Now, every single normal pattern that we talked about, if you get hit, fall death. And every 45 to 50 seconds, he's going to try to destroy his own stage. And the map he will teleport, and then the map zooms out. This yellow spot is the spot that he's going to destroy. So this guy, he didn't take the clash because the clash position is actually here. So don't make that mistake, okay? Another tip that I give to a lot of Korean players, right, is when you don't know where your clash position is during this phase, move back, not close. Sometimes when you don't see the clash, you kind of panic. If you move back, the judgment on the back is larger than the one in the front, because on the front up to here, it's like no clash zone. But from here up to here, you can still even clash. If you fail the clash, he slashes you in half, and then the stage is destroyed. So this is the little symbol on the map that you have. You kind of place it yourself behind the symbol, so like right here. You'll see it, guys. You'll see it when you guys fight, and then you go, oh, that's where it was. After like 45 to 50 seconds again, he's gonna try to break the stage, and this is not clashable. I remember when I progged this, we thought it was possible to clash, and we got our heads dentched. You have to let the stage break because the second clash is so powerful that we have to let it go. THAEMINE is back to normal mode now. You heard this, right? Very, very important. When the stage breaks, THAEMINE goes to normal mode. He does normal patterns now instead of enhanced pattern. So this kills a lot of people. You might not even see this. You might not even be able to see this during prog, but this is one of the most dangerous patterns that kills people. So the only way to figure this out is when he has a single red circle telegraph. That's the windmill. That's it. That's a unique telegraph that you can recognize. Since I recognized the telegraph, what it did was I stepped out a little bit and then I stepped back in. So you need to recognize it. Most people, and then you can you're inside the circle, right? So it's outside save, inside save. The initial circle does push you off as well. That's why it's very difficult. This is very important as well. The rail spin pattern, he teleports to a player. So if you're all like spread out, that's so dangerous, because imagine he teleports to over here and does the wave pattern, right? The follow-up attack is a large AoE explosion. Always ping the center and say, yo, group up. This is a whole map. If you look it here, it's a double explosion. So this is the first explosion, and this is the second explosion. So it's almost the whole map. So you have to group up. You notice this pattern? So you guys know this pattern, right? This is a double slash to grab, right?
2 red patterns,
And then he's slamming his left. So if someone is on his left side, he's dead because this is a fall death. His initial slashes won't give you fall death. As far as I know, I never got fall death by that. So I might be wrong, but always stay in the front. So this clash is destroying this stage. If you let it go, you only have a quarter of the map, and it's still normal patterns, but your stage is more smaller, right? You have two choices. You can clash here, or you can use Ester Nineveh. But most people use Nineveh on the second one instead of clashing. And the reason why is it's actually infinitely safer than clashing and then Nineveh. When you're progging, you won't be able to push to 90 bars with this here. The reason why we can push to 90 bars is we're very juiced.
To drop THAEMINE.
So this would be the actual timing. We have 6 people, right? 120-ish. You guys might have like 110, 100, or maybe like 97 if you're really juiced. The reason why using Ester Nineveh second time before doing the clash is because you can force this pattern. This pattern is an energy blast pattern, right? This is a very safe DPS pattern as long as you kite the red boxes away. And after this, he will do a clash again, and then if you run out of DPS, you can clash again. This is better than clashing and then using Nineveh at the end. So this is where you go 90 bars and then you're enhanced again with a fresh map. So the reason why we're stacking shadow clones on the outskirts of the map is because the map shrinks with the dark wave, and the dark wave does damage. It does tick damage, and you can't see red warning signs. We're not even gonna access that point in the map anyway, so that's why we stack them up there. It used to be spread out, but the meta kind of became just stacking it up so that it's easier to dodge too, because the sword waves are stacked. But if you get hit by that sword wave, you basically die. This one, some people mistake this as a clash. Clash is a lot smaller sword. This one, his sword is gigantic. It's even going through the floor. So you have to group up here because he teleports to a random aggro and then he slams it
together.
Red attack and that Omega slam, you can't DR it because it does millions of damage.
You'll be
for those of you who play Bro, you guys should be aware of this inverted controls. You kind of press back and then you'll move forward. And when you do that, you have to fight your shadow clone. And when I did this for the first time, it reminded me of Ocarina of Time, Water Temple.
One major DPS skill is enough to kill the clone and ask for
and one major DPS skill is enough. So in this case, you know how I'm not transformed as a shadow hunter, so I died here. If you are a transformation class, save your transformation when you're doing this. So for supports, before we had the higher transcendence,
easiest way to
beat it easy. All supports used to save 1 awakening here. So when you're about at 60 bars, maybe 62-ish bars, you lock your awakening so that you can use it here, because that guarantees your survival, because 1 awakening does kill them. This is the transcendence damage. If you have a high enough transcendence damage, this is the damage that procs every 30 seconds. This one, if you have that, 1 hit is going to kill your clone. So another case here is what I could have done is if you knock these clones out of bounds, you get damaged, but shadows get damaged too. So I recently learned this because I never thought about doing it. You know, it's the clone losing HP, right? So let's say you're playing a blade, you can just use your the earth sword to knock them out of bounds, and then they'll just die outside. So when you kill the clone fast and when you get out, you have to do damage here. So you notice he takes reduced damage, but you gotta push as much as you can. It's not as bad as you think. I think this is like 50% reduced damage. And this is always the first pattern, the alternating explosion. Don't get hit by this because his next pattern is going to be very dangerous most of the time. And if you're blinded, it'll be very hard for you to dodge. And the shadow that gets spawned from outskirts of the map to the center, it's inverted now, so it's going to be spawned from the center outwards. But we place the shadows on 1 o'clock, right? So that one doesn't matter because we're going to be fighting on the left side, which is the opposite side. So if you place your shadows on 11 o'clock for some reason, you'll be fighting at 5 o'clock. Does that make sense? So this is where you use your awakening and DRs, or if you want to use your, because the shadows here, they do damage 3 times. He'll appear behind somebody. That's why we all stayed at 9 o'clock. And then the class position is behind them, right? And you have to walk behind them while spamming the G key, and then you'll get into clash. So this is where you can use Wei. But when you guys are progging, you want to use Wei 50 seconds after and when the ghosts appear. Because if you notice, these ghosts are grabbing the players, right? It takes a lot of skills to actually kill these these ghosts, and if you spawn Wei, the Wei's damage can kill the ghosts right away in one tick. So it's actually very safe just to use Wei when ghosts spawn after 50 seconds.
Telegraph
like here, you notice the Wei's come out, and then he's killing the ghosts. The yellow like the ghost, we thought a lot of people that the ghost was very dangerous, but if you dodge this yellow telegraph, which is the ghost, right? The ghosts just disappear. So basically ghosts appear when they get grabbed. So the best method is someone need to track 50 seconds, and maybe like 5 seconds before you communicate that yo, ghosts are coming, right? You stop everything what you're doing, dodge the ghosts, and then fight them. So we have 6 bars here, right?
Outward.
This is what you guys will experience during prog. This is actually a prog example.
From the center.
So we have a very small edge in the map, and someone asked again that why would we stack it is to see less of these reds, because if they're spread out, it's much thicker. So we kind of focus it on one point so that we have smaller spaces to dodge. That's why we stack it here again. And then ghosts come after another 50 seconds too. So there will be a lot of cases you have like 1 or 2 bars left, and then you either run out of time, a lot of people die. So for tips and tricks, I did explain it throughout the video while I was covering the whole thing. Basically, supports is really important here.
This is where
because you need to give DR every time. Basically, if you're worried as a support player, you'll be just spamming more Rhapsodies than usual.
For example,
like tenacity skill here, the utilization of tenacity skills in this fight is going to be a difference between night and day.
Dangerous patterns.
Says the point that I wanted to say is you need to understand your class really well to do well in this raid. All right, so that wraps up the commentary guide, boys. We almost talked for 2 hours.